y'all. Welcome back to another episode of More Than the Title, episode 239. We've been partying. I feel like we ain't partying all month, though, man. I missed y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, there's something going on with the weather. Everybody keep getting sick.
Crazy, but we're gonna make up for it. We're gonna start today. You already know what it is, man. I'm your host as usual, Jarrett, Chief Revenue Officer at Outside the Box Digital. And of course, I got my brother, my brethren, your favorite CEO, Chadeo. What's good, cuz? What's the vibes?
Building, man. What up, man? It definitely feels like it's been a while. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens with consistency. When you used to doing shit nonstop, you take a day off, it felt like a month, man. But we back. You know what it is? It's your favorite podcast. Yes, your favorite podcast. You right there, the one listening to it. Your favorite podcast. More Than the Title. Me and my brother up top, and you know, a lot of testosterone is in the building. So of course we gotta have the balance in the Hollywood Square right below us, aka Nadege. What up, sis?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I feel like it's been forever since the last time I've seen y'all. Like,
Crazy.
Well, we ain't seen you since the last time we seen you.
Right? No, it's a good vibes. I'm excited for today's show, so let's get into it.
Yeah, man. Well, listen. With that being said, listen. Unfortunately, you know, we always start the show with G&T. Grateful and thankful, but I do want to dedicate this show to a Forest Projects native resident, man, just passed away, E. Farmer, man. His services was this past Saturday, and I just want to say I am grateful and thankful for the send-off that he had, man. Over 300 people, easily, too many people to fit in the church, overloaded the streets, man. They say you are a representation of yourself or your legacy by who shows up for you in death. So by that type of a send-off, man, the impact that he had over the community and with his friends and his family was just truly immense, man. We're gonna miss you, E. Farmer, a legend, a pioneer, man, somebody that fought and lived and breathed and died for the community, man. So we're gonna miss you, E. Farmer. Shout out to E. Farmer's family. You know, unfortunately, things happen. We have to move on, but we will not forget you. Your legacy will continue through us.
That's a fact, though.
Yeah.
Message. That's a somber one. Can you give me a positive one too? That's a positive one. Give me an uplifting one. Give me an uplifting one too. I need one to get I can't do the intro after that, bro. Can we do
hard pivot, huh?
Yeah.
I'm just saying sometimes things happen, man. You know what I mean? But listen, I'm grateful to be back, man. It's your favorite podcast. We're back. Cuzzo's back. You understand? Nadege is back. Couple times, you know, like Nadege just said in the green room, you know, a lot of people getting sick and stuff like that. The weather's changing. So we all got hit with the kind of flu bug and was kind of down for a day or two. But we back. The energy's here. We got Jeff in the building. We're going to introduce him. And here we go. Get ready for another phenomenal episode. You know the word phenomenal. You know the word phenomenal. And we batting 1,000. So, you know, get your tape decks ready.
The old school, the tape decks. They not doing that on streaming.
Tape deck ready.
I don't even know the thing. People know. Some people know what a tape deck is.
They're looking it up right now.
Look it up.
They're doing it right now.
For you YNs and you new Gen Z people.
Please press screen record now.
No, you stupid, man. With that being said, you know what we got to do.
Let's start the show.
Get into it, man. Before we even get his brother the intro, man, we just want to keep it all the way real, man. We met this brother in France, and straight up, we met him in Cannes. We've documented, we've set our story in Cannes. He's one of the brothers that we met that was inspired, that inspired us. Had great conversation. We broke bread, man. We just talked about life. We chilled, and that's what. You know, that's what fuels us. You know what I'm saying? So this was supposed to have been happening, but it's happening today, y'all. And we really appreciate this brother. And we're going to let you know, man, he's putting in the work. So first-time listeners, welcome back to second-time listeners, welcome back to More Than Title. First-time listeners, if you don't know what this is a show that we keep it real. We go beyond the job descriptions. We talk about the real stories, the struggles, and strategies that really help shape remarkable leaders, right? And this brother is the Global Chief Inclusion and Impact Officer at Burson and the host of the Crucible podcast. Someone who truly embodies what the show is all about. He's a guy that created his own Chief Diversity Officer role, built a 10-point diversity plan that boosted BIPOC hiring from 33% to 59% and turned data into a tool for empowerment and belonging. His work also earned him a spot in the AMA Marketing Hall of Fame, y'all, because he's actually putting it down. You know what I'm saying? So whether he's launching DEI programs, leading team fellowship memberships at church, or starting a business on the side, this brother is driven by one mission, closing the gap that others overlook. So if y'all seen him in Cannes,
Boom.
Y'all seen him in Black Week. You see him
Well,
in the boardrooms. You see him
yes,
with
sir.
the strategy. You see him at the church. You see him in the park with his family. And now he's on your favorite podcast for the very first time. Let's introduce our brother, Mr. Jeff Marshall, y'all.
Here we go.
Big dog. Big dog.
I should have hit screen record on that. Hold
on, Jeff. But I didn't know you was a church guy, man. So if you're gonna start, we gotta start this off right, man. We gotta, you know what I'm saying, Jeff? If we're gonna start this off with get a sermon, ladies and gentlemen, Jeff's about to give you the business. He about to drop them gems. You about to dance. You about to record. We about to get busy out here.
Gotta love it.
Let's go, man. Shout out to Doug already in the check-in, man. Going crazy, man. Doug's in Amsterdam. We hate you, Doug. You don't take us nowhere, Doug, you motherfucker.
Doug stay on the plane, bro. Like every time I watch the story, he's not even back. He's somewhere else.
Facts.
Yeah.
Shout out to the bro.
Welcome to the show, Jeff. Welcome to the show, bro.
I'm excited to be here. I mean, I think first of all, it's crazy to be like, we met in France. That just sounds wild. We sound like, who did y'all say that was? Duggo on the plane? That's what we sound like a minute ago. Right. You know, but it was, I think good people attract good people, and good energy attracts good energy. And so it was great meeting y'all there, and then seeing y'all at Black Week as well. And just I know we had talked about crossing over on each other's podcasts, and so I'm super excited to be here, man. This is dope, man. Y'all setup is dope. I love it.
It's love, brother. Like so we like to start from the beginning, bro. We haven't had these conversations. This is our first time hearing it. Talk to us about growing up, bro. What are some early influences?
Oh man. So growing up, I grew up. So it's kind of a double, story here. I grew up in Chester, PA, which is just south of Philadelphia. It is one of the poorest cities in Pennsylvania, and I ended up going to a school called Scotland School for Veterans Children. Unfortunately, it's now closed, but it was a free boarding school for the children of Pennsylvania's veterans. And so a lot of and it was out in South Central PA. So a lot of parents from Philadelphia sent their kids there to kind of get us out of the hood. And so I went there from 2nd to 12th grade. So was in boarding school 9 out of 12 months in the year. And to be completely honest, it was one of the foundational things that has happened in my life. Message. So it was cool because it was almost like taking a section of Philly and putting it out in this random area, because the school was only about 300 people large, and there was really nothing to do except play sports and study. So it churned out a bunch of really smart people that could also were pretty athletic, and so it's a big part. That was kind of the start of things. Yeah, man.
I want to talk about that, man. You are the first guest in 230 some episodes to say they went to boarding school. Now, I've only known one person in my lifetime that actually went to a boarding school, also because in our communities, no boarding school. You're lucky to go to school, period. Boarding school. You're lucky to go to school, period. So what can you give us some insight? Because obviously we don't know, right? But there's always a idea of what boarding school is. And can you kind of give us the real version of what boarding school actually is, what it consists of? And look, what does it take to get into a boarding school, right? Because I don't even know no boarding schools in our areas, right? So can you give us a little bit more information on that?
Yeah, so ours was unique, actually. So and I'm gonna double click on this one word right here, free. All right, there was a free boarding school for the children. Dad served as a Marine, and my grandfather served in the Army, and so this school recruited heavily. It had been around for 100 and something years. This school recruited heavily out of the Philadelphia area. So there was a placement test you'd have to take to see what grades you would be in. But parents had to make the sacrifice, right? Like I said, you're there 9 out of 12 months of the year. So most boarding schools that you hear about, if we're being, like you said, we're gonna keep it 100. They're, the students there are from well-to-do families for the most part, right? That wasn't the case here. The other thing about my boarding school that was pretty unique was it was 98% black, right? So it was 98% black. It was now, mind you, another interesting statistic is that the vast majority of the teachers, and then we called them the house parents. So because you're living there, you had, house parents were not black. They were mostly white. But we never really had a lot of racial issues like with regards to that on campus. Now, when we went out and played other teams, every once in a while, you get deep into the sticks playing in the playoffs or something. Somebody gonna say something in the crowd, and but the experience itself was interesting. If I worked backwards from college, I had no transition to college, right? So when I got to college, it was like, oh, I've already lived away from home for from 2nd to 12th grade. So there was no transition to college. I understood what it was like to be on my own, to manage my own time. But working backwards, I mean, you had all the things you had at a regular school, man. Like you had the drama with with girls. You had the drama. The girls had drama with guys. But the interesting thing was you live with each other, right? So if you got into a fight or something, 2 days later, it's all good. We going to play basketball or something. Like it's so it was certainly an interesting period of time. I mean, with this boarding school in particular, you did have to keep there was another interesting thing that happened was because there was nothing much to do but play sports and study. It was flipped from I don't want to generalize, but it was flipped from at least the stereotype that we get here in public schools, right? If you got bad grades, you kind of got made fun of, right? Like it's like, yo,
wow.
Yeah, so like for a lot of reasons, because like if you got on what we call third week report, so the third week in a market period, if you ended up on third week report, you couldn't play whatever team sport you were on, and so now you're letting all your teammates and your friends down, and everybody knows it. And so there was some dynamics like that. There were some dynamics based around. I mean, there was certainly some have and have not. Even amongst those who don't have as much. That was happening, and so I think my second or third year there, we went to school into like the school uniform thing. So that was typical of a lot of boarding schools. I'm trying to think what other. I mean, it was and then the other part, right? It was attached to military families, right? We're all veterans' children, so there was a ROTC and a JROTC component to it. Like everyone, once you got to a certain grade, was in JROTC. Whether or not you wanted to kind of advance in a leadership role or not, that was up to you and how much you wanted to put into it. So, I mean, that's, and again, I'm summing it up, but this is a big part of my life. There's the cool thing about it is if I run into, Nadege, I use you as an example. If you went to this school, even though we didn't go at the same time, like we still would be considered family. It's literally as simple as that. Because it's just such a small group. So and it's a very unique experience, right? So when we have class reunions, usually the class reunions, everybody's invited, doesn't matter what class you were in. It's just basically hosted by this class. Sometimes people, their kids are doing stuff and folks will show up for their kids' things. Like it's and the other thing I would say is, again, thinking about college specifically, they say, oh, you meet your friends for life in college. And I'm like, well, I met I got brothers that I grew up with, friends that I've been friends with for, 40 something years already. Right. So it's those were some of the things that, happened and we're still in touch. Right. Like if I just picked up my phone now and texted, somebody I haven't texted in 5 years, just saying, hey, I'm checking in, we'll have a whole conversation tonight. So it's a good, it was a good influence on my life. Yeah.
I love that. And you gave us this beautiful story, but I want to hear, well, two questions. You said it was foundational. Like, I would love to know, like, why do you feel that way? Like, why do you feel so connected? Like, why does it feel so foundational? And where have you taken those lessons into your today? Like, just a couple examples. And then I want to lead into my second question. I'm gonna throw it in there. What was it like not being home? Like, like you're like, you only spent 3 months at home. Like,
yeah, pretty much the summer, and then like obviously the Thanksgiving and Christmas, but other than that, you're pretty much at school. It was I'm gonna go backwards. So it was when you first got there, you went through all the emotions. It was homesick. But I have two older brothers. They both went there.
That makes
yeah. And I'm the youngest, right?
They coming through too. Yeah, no, I got people.
So you still got y'all, like.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
I was gonna say no. So you got your peoples.
Yeah, I had my people as soon as I got there. And then you make friends. You make friends pretty quickly. I was a badass little kid when I was young, but so yeah, you know, when boys, if he saw the post that this was going live and he joined, he would concur. Like we was both bad. But yeah, it was at first there was homesickness, right? Like so you had that, and then you kind of got over and got used to kind of being in this space. I will tell you the toughest part about being there was for me was, you know, there's this interesting thing, right? They say like when you don't know, like you don't know that, like if you're broke and you're like surrounded by love, you don't know that. You know what I mean? Like the love is more important. Like you know, you don't really recognize it until you're kind of taking a step back and looking at it. But I realized when I was there, so my mom and dad had got divorced right before I went, and I think their divorce was one of the driving reasons why I went there. But what I realized was that the school was 3 hours away from Philadelphia. And so, you know, my mom was working. So there were times where they had parents' weekend and things like that, right? And my mom could never make it, even though on her heart, like she wanted to make it. It just, her life didn't afford her that opportunity to get there for a lot of things. So for instance, I played football when I was young. I played basketball all the way through college. I even, in the summers, I was actually, this is an interesting fact, I dove. I was a competitive diver. And my mom actually, unfortunately, has never got to see me play in an actual game of any of that. You know what I mean? Like, so just because that was, that was how her life was at the time. So there were times when I was there and other kids' parents would be there, and I'd be like, "Oh man, my mom not here." So you had that moment of sadness, but you end up growing up with people, and so other people's moms basically, you know how it is. Like you call your homeboy's mom's mom, like you like it's like, hey, so I had like 7 moms, like like I had my mom who I love dearly, and then I had my best friends. Their mothers would come up and they'd be like, "Yo, I got some snacks for you." You know what I mean? So you learn to get through that. It also made me fiercely independent. When I graduated from college, it was the weirdest 2 years of my life where like living at home. Like I was living at home. I really never unpacked. I actually was sleeping on the couch in the living room because it was awkward. It was like, oh, what do I do now? And then I got my own apartment. And then your other question was, wait, what was your other question? I didn't talk so long. I forgot.
No, it's all good.
I just want to say something real quick on that. Like that's crazy though. Like that's a lot to unpack. I'm gonna tell you real because I played sports all my young life. Mm-hmm. When my mom came through the building, she's working 2 jobs. I don't give a fuck what it was. It'd be the first quarter. I'd missed 4 shots in a row. You feel me? When mom walk in that door, now I'm doing some shit. I'm doing global. Yeah. I'm dunking on niggas. I don't even know how to dunk. I'm wilding out. Like, so mom was at every game. So I know that had to impact you, bro, because they impacted me. When you look back, you know what I'm saying? So like really talking to that, because that's still mama love. You know, I had my people's, they moms, shout out to Joe's mom, Flacco mom, all my people's moms, but it's still mama love. Yeah,
what it was. Looking back is really where, I can, that's come to light. Like at the time, I don't think I thought much of it. I think the diving one was probably the one where I thought a lot of it because she had to work the day of the diving championships and she dropped me off at the pool. And I was like, and she was like, I said, Mom, if you stay for like 5 minutes, I'm going to get in line. I'll do my best dive in the warm-up line. Right. So you could just see me dive. So she stayed. And of course, it was the longest line ever. You know what I mean? Like, and so she had to go like 4 people before I actually got up on the board to even. So, like, again, looking back, it's like, all right. I mean, I went to a school that was 3 hours away from my home. So I kind of understood it, especially by the time I got to like high school. It's like, no, you can't make that. You're not coming up there on a Tuesday night. But high school game, it's 8-minute quarters, man. That game, so that's real shit. I like it.
It's a bit of a sacrifice. It is. You know what I mean? What we like to do, Jeff, because this is a very, again, this is a very interesting topic. And one of the key things that we do on this show is give out information. Education is truly important. That type of education, especially on a free level for veterans, I have a couple questions now because I really want to give this information to our audience. I'm a veteran myself. I'm a Marine. You understand what I'm saying? My oldest son is in the Army. He's a veteran now. He's been in like 5 years. A lot of my family's in the military. Is this school a one of one? First question. Do they have remote or other locations in other cities? And what is the recruitment process for, people to apply to this? Is it a Philadelphia, Pennsylvania only thing? Because I would love to give this information to our listeners, because that we have a lot of military listeners that would love to be able to send their child and get a great education, or at least attempt to, at a school that can be beneficial to them with little to no cost.
So unfortunately, the school is now closed. It closed in, I want to say 2009. It was, so I'll tell you how it actually came about. I can't give the full history, but essentially the U.S. back in, like, I don't even know which war it was, maybe World War I or something. There were schools that were formed for what they called the orphans of war, basically. So there was a bunch of those schools all over the states.
Okay.
And it was just like states were like, we need to take care of the orphan children of our veterans. And then a lot of them started to close. And then Scotland School, which is out, like I said, South Central PA, close to, I'm going to name some areas people might know, close to Hershey, like Hershey Park, close to, Harrisburg or Shippensburg in that area. Scotland changed over their school for orphans of veterans to the veterans children, the Scotland School for Veterans Children. Yeah. And so the recruitment process was hilarious, and every person to a T almost will tell you this. At least there was a gentleman named Mr. Stewart. I think he might have passed, so God rest his soul if he did. But Mr. Stewart used to be the recruiter, and he would literally, I don't know how he found people. Like, I just remember, we all remember what he told us before we went to the school. It was like, oh, we have like 4-wheelers and horses, and you can go right. And we from the hood. We can ride horses. So everybody's like hyped on going to the school. Now your parents are like, I'm sending my kid there because it's a phenomenal education. It takes a heavy burden, and it's got to be a sacrifice for a parent to send their kid, away for that amount of time. And meanwhile, I don't know a kid that rode a horse. I mean, we didn't see the horses. Mr. Stewart had us all, but so unfortunately, but the education was phenomenal. And then the school got cut out of the state's budget, and we tried to fight it. And I'll be completely honest, knowing what and who I know now, I wish I had known that then, and probably we could have put up a better fight. But it basically came down to a budget thing. I mean, the state was paying probably somewhere close to $30,000 a student to educate us, which, I mean, some of my friends are doing phenomenal things. I can't even reel them off. I'll just reel off one. Like, one of my boys is the president of Zipcar, right? He went to West Point, went to Michigan for his mass. Like, these are kids that grew up like I did, like, that just had access, and we talked about this too, access and exposure to something different. Message. And that's how it, and so we turned out doing well. I mean, we learned how to move in different spaces. Doesn't matter what the space is, right? Like, we can move in them, switch it up if we need to. We can put our brilliance on full display if we need to, like, without feeling, ashamed of it at all. And so, it's a shame that it did close, man. But a lot of us still keep the spirit of it alive, but it's no longer exists. We were the last one, I believe.
And so bros,
I got after you, cuz I got a good woo. Go ahead, cuz I know, but I got some shit.
Now I don't want to ask.
I don't want to forget.
So you better come with something good.
No. Yeah, I know it's on fire. I just don't want to forget. I got a very good comeback to what you said.
Nah, I forgot my shit now. Woo!
Sorry, guys. Damn! My bad, cuz. No, what only thing I was gonna say was, and I didn't want to forget this, because Now let's talk real shit.
Yep.
You just said the school closed down because the average cost is $30,000 to educate our youth to possibly be the leaders of the future. Do you know the average cost of what it costs to house an inmate?
I don't actually. Tell me.
Right. So
It's definitely more than that.
medium cost, and it goes up different states because of how they operate. $65,000 a year. So for every one inmate, you could pay for 2 kids to get a great education and possibly not end up being incarcerated.
Message.
Think about that.
Yep.
And that's the low end. Some states, a lot of other states, 100,000, 200. Massachusetts, I think, is one of the highest in the United States, $300,000 a year to house one inmate. Just think about that. So you could actually do a cost comparison of 300 kids at 30,000 versus what it takes for 300,000 and come up and say, that's insane.
Yeah.
For how many inmates you could house an entire school class.
All right, that was a woo. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to forget. My fault, because I
I ain't gonna lie. That was a woo.
because this is the real shit that we have to talk about, Jeff. That is America speaking to us in real time. That is America sending us a very clear and concise message. They rather spend more money to house us if we get in trouble and keep us incarcerated where we can't be a productive person in society, rather than give us the resources so that we never become incarcerated in general.
I'll add something to that. I wish I could remember who to attribute this to, but so every year there was a fight for the budget.
Right.
Like our superintendent was going before the state and fighting for the budget for, I don't know how many years it was. It had to be like 10 years. So say 99 to 2009. I don't know. I might be wrong on the timing, but I remember so in the summers, right, we would have, you could go to summer camp if you want. You go ROTC summer camp or JROTC summer camp, and that's how you could, get into leadership position. In the summer camp, we would be there with like people going through boot camp. And we did a lot of the same things, right? You're doing the obstacle courses, you're doing, you're shooting on the range, you're doing all the stuff. It's like you're literally in boot camp. And I remember one of the things someone said was that, we don't want to be paying that much money to teach kids how to shoot automatic rifle, black kids how to shoot automatic rifles. And it's like, sir, like, do you like this is what it's baffling thinking back on that now, but it was, even then it was like, what are they talking about? Like, these are, again, kids that are, even those who don't go on to college, that have gone through the school, have gone on to do positive things in the community, in their families. It's just a different, it really broke the mold for a lot of people. But so we were facing that, to your point, we were facing that back then, and we just didn't have the tools or the know-how or the connections to kind of keep the school going. But yeah, man, that was a hell of a stat you gave.
That's crazy, bro.
I'm sorry, cuz I didn't want to forget. I don't want to forget.
If it wasn't, I was gonna say it. I would have woo.
I ain't want to forget it, cuz my bad, baby.
I was like, that was all right. Now that was a great damn stat. That was a good damn monologue. But then pivot, like, so after school, how do we get into this industry? How do we get into our purpose? Like, what is that?
Fell into the industry. Went to college. Played ball at a small school. We all thought we were going to the league. But I realized pretty quickly, like, none of us is going to league from this school. Like, not that we.
What's wrong with this guy? Am I kidding me or what?
But I'm like, we ain't gonna make it. So I just, again, given the education that I had, I kind of stayed in the books and just kind of kept my grades steady. And when I graduated, I graduated a business degree. I minored in psychology, and I literally was like, I want to own my own business. And then I was like, but if I don't own my own business, how do I get to a C-suite position? And then I literally was like, advertising seems like a cool industry to enter into. Again, I knew nothing about advertising, but you know, like I'm creative in pretty much in every sense. So this is gonna sound like had my shoes off walking through the snow story, but they used to have this thing called the Red Book, and you could go in the Red Book and find all of the advertising agencies pretty much anywhere, but they were separated by markets. So I literally walked my resume around to every ad agency in Philly, and ended up meeting this woman, Miss Yvonne. Yvonne, yeah, I think her name is Yvonne. And her and I had a really phenomenal conversation. She was the receptionist at this agency I walked into, just happened to be a sister. And I was like, hey, I just wanted to drop my resume off and apply for jobs. And before she took it, she was like, oh, you graduated from college? And she just like auntied me. Like we had a whole conversation. She asked all the questions. Oh, where's your family from? It was a whole conversation. And then she said, give me that. I'll make sure it gets to who it needs to get to. So I interviewed at an agency called Tierney, which is still around. It's actually, believe it or not, I actually shoot my podcast, and the agency has changed names now, but I shoot my podcast there. Interviewed at this agency Tierney for every department, media, account management, traffic. They had traffic back then. PR, all of them. And they were like, pick one. Everybody likes you. And I was like, I don't know nothing about this industry. Like I just, so I had the wherewithal to ask the HR person if I could. I was like, I would love to work for somebody that's just like good people, like who's the best person to work for. And she suggested the woman who was running all of media, who is to this day my mentor, actually was on my podcast, Molly Watson, big shout. So I ended up working for that department. And what I found out in paid media, a lot of people, I was not making any money. I made $23,500 my first 2 years, I think. But I ate at the fanciest places. I was, to this day, I tell you, when I was in media, I was America's house guest. I was eating at the best places that I knew I couldn't afford. I was going to every game, every event, because the way it works is, if I'll use NBC as an example. If NBC wants to come in and have, your client, advertise on them, then they're like, hey, let's have a lunch meeting. And then you end up at the fancy places. And so ended up doing that, stayed around because like it was, dope industry to be in, and kind of made my way up the ladder from there. But that's how I got into advertising. But I kept that, what I was saying earlier, I kept that idea of, if I'm going to work for somebody else, how do I get to the C-suite? That's always been my North Star. And then what I tell people is my compass has been that, whenever I would meet C-suite folks, I would always ask questions that yield tangible answers, right? I try not to let people off the hook with a question that's too broad that they can give you a BS answer to. So, and I'll give y'all an example. Let me interview y'all for a second. So if you was if you were young and you were to ask a CEO, hey, how do I get to a C-suite position? What answer do you think they would give you?
They're gonna give you to work hard and keep your head down.
That's it right there. That's it right there. So my question, and if there's any young people watching, this is now your question. My question was always, how do I get to a C-suite position? Skip the hard work part. Assume I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And that question has literally led me, to up the corporate ladder.
Message.
We gotta pause right there for a second. Ladies and gentlemen.
Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, be clear. Normally, you're not talking to the CEO of any company. Normally, even if you work for the company, you might not never be in the same room as the CEO. So we have to put this thing into perspective, right? The first thing you have to do is put yourself in the room to be able to have a conversation like Jeff had.
Message.
That's the key part to that, right? Any job that you're in, if they have a mixer, right? A work event, any place that you can find out that the leadership will be at, that's a place where now you want to be at. So at least now you're in the room. Now from there, you have to take the initiative to introduce yourself. Even if you're an introvert, you standing on the wall, you will go unnoticed because technically you are low on the totem pole. They're not going to notice you anyway. That's not their job. So you have to get out of your ways, just in case you're an introvert and you don't like to speak. You have to now introduce yourself and make sure that you are memorable, that they remember who you were, what questions you asked, what conversations you showed, and what energy you showed. So when they leave that room, you got the answers that you got, but now you're in their brain of I know who that person is. So I just wanted to drop
people at that level respect value.
That's a fact.
Value. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, are you asking the right questions? But do you understand the problems that I have at my level?
Yep.
Can I have a peer-to-peer discussion, even though you're not
right?
You know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's one thing I've always noticed with my mentors that were CEOs. You know what I'm saying?
So here's what I'll say. I'll say yes and like
okay.
So I actually agree. You want to put yourself in those spaces, and when we say that, we don't mean like, oh, you like work hard and then you get in the spaces. We mean no, like perfect example. My first month, I think, when I worked at UM, we had this thing called global. Why am I drawing a blank right now? But basically, we closed the company all around the globe, and we global impact day. That was what it was called. And we went out into neighborhoods, where our offices were located, and did community service. And so I remember being in a school in Brooklyn, and like we painted the school, we cleaned up the gardens or whatever, and then afterwards we had a happy hour. So in between the two things, we're in this auditorium, and it's a bunch of young people and me and the then CEO of UM. And I noticed everybody in there was like this on their phone. And the CEO, who had like fiery red hair, she was standing down in the front all by herself. And I said, nobody gonna go talk to the CEO? And I ended up going down and talking to her. Now, mind you, I was old. I was 15 years into my career, right? So I was not, and networking is my thing. I'm gonna actually give y'all some networking tips for the listeners. Like, I love networking, but I actually ended up going over and talking to her, and her and I, when everybody left, when we left to go to the happy hour, her and I walked all the way to the happy hour. So by the time we got to the happy hour, she was introducing me to the people she was at the happy hour with, right? The other C-suite people and blah, blah, blah. And the whole time we were just talking about all kinds of things, kids, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, hey, her name is Kasha. Kasha, I'd love to get coffee with you sometime. Right. And that's when you get to get that question off. Right.
He had the double on you.
I love it. Screaming baby on that one.
Yeah,
baby.
So that's when I got the question off, and I'll take a step back and tell you, I'll give you what her answer was, and you'll see the path as we get along. But that's kind of where you need to be. The other thing is for the introverts, because I am an extroverted extrovert, right? Like I'll talk to anybody anytime. But there are ways to make yourself interesting, right? So one of the things that I do is anytime I have a jacket on, I love pins, like lapel pins. So I got a bunch of pins that people will always be like, someone will always comment on one of my pins, right? I had a jean jacket on earlier today, and I have it's a black jean jacket, and it's got Biggie on it and Barack on it. And people are like, oh, what's that? And I go, well, sometimes you got to be a little Biggie, a little Barack, right? Like you gotta have that little balance. And, right? The whole point is, would you just say you got to make yourself interesting and memorable? The other thing, and I give this one to young people all the time, is when you go to connect with people on LinkedIn, and you talked about value. When you go to connect with people on LinkedIn, my connections are my most valuable asset. I don't just hand them out because we happen to be in a room together. That's crazy, right? You got to work for it a little bit. And so for me, I probably got people sitting there in my LinkedIn thing who've never sent me a message, and they wonder why we didn't connect. Well, you never sent me a message. I don't know where I met you at. 5 years from now, you won't know where we met at. When you go to reach out to me and ask me if I can help you get a job somewhere. And so what I tell people is, the young people, I'm like, hey, if you're connecting with somebody that's older than you, and you're going to connect on LinkedIn, and they're willing to connect you on LinkedIn, you wait and see how they go about the LinkedIn connection, right? Maybe they don't know the QR code thing. So as soon as they start to type it in regularly, you go, oh, no, do the QR code, right? Here's how you do it. And you show them how to do it, and you just made yourself memorable, just like that. And now, so when you send them a message, you'll be one of the few that they actually respond to quickly. And so anyway, I can do networking things all day, man. That's my jam. But
I love that shit.
I would love another one, especially for people who really want like quality networking, right? Because there are some people who just want to fill up their Rolodex, but for those who are like, yo, it's our guy.
We miss you.
Nights. We didn't want to interrupt you, sis. Polar Nights, where the fuck you been at, homie? We missed you, baby. Now we officially pardon. Polar Nights is back. Ice-T is in. Now we officially pardon. Polar Nights, thank you, Polar Nights.
Welcome back. We miss you terribly.
Yes.
I would love some tips for those people who really they kind of snipered on that person. Like, how do they like that's the target I need to get in conversation with? What's some tips you can give them?
So one, if you know the target that you're trying to get to, know what you're going to say when you walk up, right? At least have an opening line ready, right? Like, hey, I just wanted to come over and say hi. Like, I've been following you, your company, and y'all are doing amazing. Have something already set so you don't go over there just babbling, right? Like, and here's the other thing. Maybe they have an interesting pin on, and you're into pins. So you comment on the pin. Hey, I just wanted to say that's a dope pin. I collect pins or whatever, right? Like, I have one buddy who his entire life is about making himself interesting. Like, he does things that draw interest to him, and it's kind of cool because he has a bunch of little hobbies and things that he does, but it's really he probably is if I was a 9 on the networking thing, he's easily a 10. Just because he understands it. He has a couple of really cool cars, and so anytime somebody brings up a car, they almost inevitably end up in a car conversation. But I would say, to answer your question directly, is try to figure out what you're going to say when you walk up. Give yourself a reason to walk up there, and say something that starts the conversation. Or one of the best things to do is, if you see somebody standing alone, that's kind of an easy way to start. If you're like a person who's very nervous around networking and you're going to a networking function, find the person who's standing alone to kind of break the ice, for you to knock off the nerves, right? Just walk up and say, hey, how you doing? What brings you here? And that'll kind of knock off that first nerve, those nerves that kind of take over you, make you kind of like, oh, nobody knows me here.
Message.
So I think those are a couple of extra.
Yeah, I just want to add something in also for our listeners. Be clear. Another key point to this whole entire conversation is, when you get a job, don't just get a job to take a job. We all know that you need money to survive. We know this. But when you take a job, be intentional. Know where you want to go. Again, if you don't know where you want to go, talking to a C-suite individual or the CEO is meaningless. You don't know where you want to go, right? So whenever you're looking to take a job somewhere, if that's a potential career, there's an entry-level position that you're going to go in as, but understand where you want to end up being. If you don't understand where you want to end up being, then you can't have a conversation that can help you get there, because you don't know where you want to go, right? So start with that, right? Know what you want to do, know where you're going to start, but know where you kind of want to finish at the same time. Set a goal for yourself, and then do the research on how to get there. So when you get a chance to speak to somebody, you sound intelligent. The worst thing that you can do is waste somebody's time. Go to somebody that you get a C-suite individual's attention, knowing they're important, and you don't have any meaningful conversation. Like Jeff, you don't have nothing to talk. You don't have an elevator pitch. You don't have anything ready. You can do yourself the biggest disservice. The way you can kind of make yourself memorable in a good way, you can make yourself memorable in a terrible way and say, this guy just completely wasted my time.
Yeah, but the end is you can also, like, what we do, bro, is exactly that, right? Like, so what you was talking about for networking, I've closed deals, Jeff, on LinkedIn because people have my same last name as me. Same last name as me. I'm like, yo, Thomas, what up, cuz? When's the barbecue? And I know you're the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What am I going to do? That's my whole thing as a salesperson. How I'm going to differentiate myself from the 1,000 calls that you get every single day, right? But I also think there's a value in the relationships. Sometimes you have to know who's a sale and who's not. You have to know when to make the ask and when not to make the ask. Quite frankly, like my biggest mentors that I had in my life is because I knew what to ask, or I just wanted a relationship. Mm-hmm. And you have to work for the relationship.
Yeah.
Just like us. You know what I'm saying? We didn't just get to a table with you. We got there through a relationship. Had we not had that relationship, we wouldn't be sitting at the table with you and you, Jeff. You just chilling. You like, that's family. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's just the reality of it. You know what I'm trying to say? So the relationship value, I think people, sometimes it's the simplest things that get the relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes the simplest thing, like you said, talking to somebody that's by themselves, right? Just being a good person. Sometimes, we just had somebody in Canton. I'll tell you a quick story. Kirk McDonald. He was the CEO of PubCon. You know Kirk.
I know Kirk.
I used to work with Kirk. Not working with Kirk. He used to work in this door next. When I worked for Can at Central, he worked at PubCon right next door. We had similar offices. I'm right here. He's right there. And I always get in the elevator with the brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, always get in the elevator. Sometimes he held the door open for him. Like, oh, you late? Boom, held the elevator door open. Now we're sitting there chopping up about the Knicks and stuff like that. Didn't know he's a CEO. Didn't know anything. But guess what? When you see me in the elevator, what's going on, brother? You good? Your energy's good. You looking good. You looking sharp, bro. You looking this. Da-da-da. Boom, boom. We chop it up. And when I found out who he was, you know what I'm saying? Now it's the different, like sometimes it's something simple as that to build the relationship. And now we see you in Can 10 years later. He's like, yo, I do remember you, bro.
Yeah. That's
what does that look like?
Yeah, relationships. That's where it's made at. To your earlier point, because you said something earlier about like, bring value. I think that's one of the hardest things to say to young people specifically, or people who are, because people don't understand when you bring value sounds harder. Honestly, it sounds harder than it actually is. Because
value is subjective.
It's very subjective, and a lot of times, the value you bring to someone who has, who has a bank of knowledge is you need somewhere to pour that into, right? Like you need a vessel to pour that into. And so sometimes the value you bring, right? Like if it's to be a mentee, right? To that actually receives what's being poured into them and then actions on it from time to time in a way that's visible. And I think that people think like, oh, I have to go up and talk something valuable about the company. No, you don't. The value sometimes is literally that. It's you asked me a question, I gave you a response, and then 10 years later, if you still ask me the same question, it's like, well, what are we doing? And so
value is making your mentors proud. Like you know the look on their face when you do something good. Like I had my mentor ask me some shit the other day. I was like, oh shit, I'm there. Yeah. You know that moment.
Yeah,
you feel me? Like, and shout out to them, like real talk, bro. Like it's just when you know there's like, yo, I attached myself to him when it was nothing. My mentor, Ken, I say it all the time, Ken. It wouldn't be no podcast, I promise you. I saw him on the show, boom, boom, 8 months later, I'm sitting there hitting him up, he igged me, boom, boom, I got the VP of BET talking to me every month. Now, if he'll talk to me, who the hell else won't talk to me?
True story.
And now that I'm shooting shots like Steph. You feel me? Shooting shots like Steph. Like, that's what we doing. So also to my boy Polar Nights, man. He said I need an easy job like holding.
I didn't want to bring it up while you was monologuing.
Oh man, no. I'm trying to change your mindset, Polar. I'm trying to change your mindset.
I didn't want to bring it up while you was monologuing. I'm gonna tell you, I had a different experience, Jeff, and everybody will have different experiences. So I'm just gonna add in mine. The way I got cool with a lot of CEOs and prominent people was by being me. And not trying to use them for what they were worth, for a favor, for their status, for money or anything. Treating them like a human being. Mm-hmm. And you will be surprised how many people of a certain status, they lack that. Because once you get to a certain status, everybody is doing this.
Yeah.
You see? Yeah. So when you're the person that goes up to them and don't do that, they're like, who the fuck is this motherfucker over here? You don't want nothing? I'm like, bro, you don't want nothing. You ain't even Star Trek. You ain't even asked for a picture. I'm like, motherfucker, you put your pants on the same way I put my pants on. Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you put your sneakers on. What's the difference? You got a couple dollars. I got a couple. Cause I see the look in your. Don't you fucking do it. I see the look in your eyes, bro.
I was telling you, I'm like, you was doing bodyguard for Bose and Ken.
Oh no! I know that, but when I said put your pants on the same way, you had a glimmer in your eye, and I was like, oh no, this motherfucker.
No, I'm saying, but you the only person in the world that I know would be around Bose. And not know you like that's just she was bad cool.
Yeah, Jeff,
it's like that, like bro, Jeff, like no nothing. Like she mad
Jeff,
cool. She,
perfect example. Perfect example.
And I'm like, yo, bro, she's the CMO of Amazon. She
right. So perfect example, Jeff.
Cool.
In Cannes, and cans. Now, mind you, me and Cuzzo, we're founders. I'm the CEO of the company. I could walk around. He could walk around we could walk around a certain way. I got asked by Adrian, who is the CEO of CCDC and the whole Cans Collective, hey, Chatty, do me a favor. Bose is about to come in. I need you to bodyguard her because they're going to bum rush her, right? But they're not going to bum rush her with you standing there, right? Because your demeanor and everything, right? Do me a favor, and can you do this? Now, mind you, we're doing panels. We have our own panels. We're doing events. We're working with them in partnership. And you know what I said? Absolutely, I'll do that. And we took a picture just because I was like, I like your outfit. And she's like, I like your outfit. I was like, let's memorialize it. We got to get a picture. And that was it. You see? We just complimented each other on each other's outfits and we talked, and that was it. And she enjoyed just being treated like a human being. Yeah. That's what it is. You know, sometimes there's multiple ways, ladies and gentlemen. We're saying there's multiple ways to break the ice. Figure out your way. That was the key to all of these stories, right? If you're an introvert, figure out a way. If you're an extrovert, it's a little easier, but figure out your own way. But figure out your own way to break the ice with somebody, make them feel comfortable, and just be yourself and let them try to get to know you, the real you, not a fake version, not a version you want to portray, but you, the real person, right?
You gotta use the SEO words. You gotta use the words that say authentic. Okay. We need you to be authentic.
There you go.
That's right. You have to be authentically you. Authenticity is the key.
It is.
Well, you know what I gotta say to that? You know what I gotta say to that, Nadege?
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why she's called the balance.
He only with the Star Wars.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's why she's called the balance. You see what she does? She helps us out. She balances us out.
A young person.
But
we're all young.
For young people, though, sis, it's hard. We've had people come on the show say it takes 10 years to be your authentic self in corporate. And that's true. It's a thing. Like, let's keep it real. Like you just said, you fell into the industry, Jeff. I fell into the industry the same way. Nobody told me how to dress, how to talk, how to be by the coffee machine, how to be by this, how to that, to have that confidence, to walk up, chin up, chest out. I had to learn that shit.
Oh, well, so interesting. I mean, this is why I was saying, yeah, you're kind of right. I mean, look, when I came into here's the thing. Speaking from a position now where you have enough tail behind you that your work speaks for itself, it's much easier for me to walk into a space and be myself. Right? I don't take that lightly. Absolutely. Now, what I've tried to do in my roles, and hopefully other leaders do this in their roles, is when I show up, I show up as me and give you permission to show up as you, right? So, that Big E and Barack pin, I've worn that on town halls, right? I'm always wearing a dope sweatshirt and sneaker and a dope pair of sneakers because I want the young people like who were like me to know that you can be you, right? So even though the CEO talks and then I go and speak, like I'm me, and I'm me all the time. But I do recognize it is a lot easier the more seniority you have, the more you can be, like that. It's much easier. So,
but when did you know, bro? Because coming in early, you didn't know that it's playing.
No.
So when did you know like the game is authenticity? When did you learn that?
I mean, it honestly, it happened. It happened once I started to become a leader of other people. Right. So, when I first came into the industry, so now I've been in the industry, 25 years. So when I first came in the industry, we were still wearing you still had to wear khakis and you know what I mean? Like it was business casual. I guess that was what we were calling it back then. It was business casual. And I remember I used to say to people all the time, it's actually one of the talks I do. It was like a 3-line poem, but I used to say, I'm from the hood, B. And people were like, no, you're not. And I'll be like, okay. When I get on this train, where I get off at, none of y'all getting off at that stop. You know what I mean? So I used to say that all the time, but people didn't believe it because, it didn't look like that. I was playing the game, right? And then I think once I started to lead people, because people, I am myself, I just wasn't always out loud. And I'm in different spaces now. So, and because of my work, I'm like, hey, I can speak loud as myself because no one can question. I got the receipts, right? So, when did I know? I guess I have to say I was probably close to 10 years in, maybe. I think, yeah, so that number sounds close. Maybe 7, I don't know, but it wasn't like day one.
And definitely not day one.
And, so it wasn't day one. And to the authenticity piece that you mentioned, it's funny because a lot of my work is around, a lot of my work now, right? So remember, I started on the business. I'm good, honey. Thank you. Sorry, but my daughter was checking on me. So
I need a refresh on my Dendu.
Right.
Over here, then, Jeff. I need a refresh on the what's your daughter name? I need a refresh on the Dendu.
That's
my Dendu almost done.
Yeah, she disappeared. That check-in was real quick. It was like, I'm going.
She said, "Good. I ain't got to do shit. I'm out of here."
Yeah. So I forgot what I was saying, but yeah, it was. I don't know what I was saying, man. You guys made another question.
It's dope. But wait.
When you gotta be authentic.
We got to get Nadege because Nadege, you getting the fan too. You getting the fan. Polar Nights. I love seeing Nadege.
No, I ain't gonna front. We got a lot of comments with the fro. People love the fro. I ain't gonna lie to you. I like
nobody rocking the fro.
Nadege was
a lot of people with the comments.
They like the natural look and shit. I ain't gonna lie. I got a black jacket upstairs. If you want to, you know what I mean? Halloween, we could do something.
I have a black jacket, but thank you.
Hold on. All the black you wear, you don't have a black leather jacket?
I have 3 black leather jackets.
Oh, you say you don't?
I said I do.
Oh, that's it. Cuzzo, more than the title Dead Press for Halloween.
You're doing a Friendsgiving Dead President's cast.
I love it. I just want to say this. I know here's the thing, right? And this is important. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff and the individuals that come on this show are a little older than the newer generations. This is why we're giving the information back. But we understand that these newer generations, Jeff, they don't have the reservations that the older generations had. This new generation, these last 2 new generations, their pride and they're like, I am who I am, take me or leave me. And I'm not, you understand what I'm saying? It's a different atmosphere now, right? So what we want to say is, show up as your authentic self, but just know, right? There are boundaries, right? What do you show a CEO versus what do you show the homies on the block, right? You have to just understand you can show the full authentic side of you, but you should have multiple sides of you so that you don't show the wrong thing to the wrong person because it can have an adverse effect, right? So just be aware of that. You know what I mean?
Let me say it like this. I'll give it to him. I love analogies. So here's the thing. A lot of my work, and this is what I was going to say, a lot of my work now is around like making sure that people can come to work and be their authentic self. The truth of the matter is 99% of us do not want to show up at work as our full authentic self. I just want you to have the option to. Now, here's the thing, because you're right. Like, I think every generation kind of, chips at the stone a little more for the next one, right? And then it's interesting because we chip at the stone. So I just told you when I first came in, we were still wearing khakis and stuff. And honestly, that internet bubble thing is what got us wearing jeans to work, right? Like, so every generation chips at the stone a little bit. And then we look back and go, like, why does stone look like that? Right? Well, we all chipped at it a little bit. That's why they come in like that. Here's what I will say about being your authentic self. I'll use Thanksgiving as an example. You at your grandmother's Thanksgiving table are not the same person as you are after dinner with your cousins out in the street.
Message.
It's as simple as
Jeff. You don't know you didn't know my grandmother.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, Jeff. You didn't know my grandmother. You didn't know I was outside, and grandma knew that.
Your grandma was outside with you and your cousins, huh?
My grandmother was outside with us. She an OG for real. She big mama. She big mama for real. Remember Big Mama? She had my grandmama, Big Mama for real.
Yeah.
Big Mama outside after
Jeff, my big mama was outside, Jeff. I ain't gonna hold you.
Y'all had to go catch up with her. He said she's at the table before us.
Fact though. We get it though. We get it, guys, sis. I see you jumping in, guys, sis.
Yeah, no, I wanted to get into your career, like what you do, right? Because you're a random guy who does random things.
Yeah. Random guy who does random. So I did a lot. I lived like 7 lives in one, like all at the same time. So
that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, truly. Get a slap.
Hold
Yeah, so the C-suite thing with so I like I said, I've always been looking at that. At one point I started studying like, okay, like what if I wanted to be a CMO or something like that, like let me find some similarities there. So I found some similarities. Everybody had, a lot of them had MBAs in marketing, and I was already working in the industry at that time, and so I was like, how can I differentiate myself? So I went to law school at night while I was working in the industry. Same time, I started like, it's funny because now they call it a gig, the gig culture. I'm like, that's people of color been had a side hustle. Like, if you don't have a side hustle, I don't like what are you doing? So
Message.
a commercial cleaning service with some friends of mine. And that was you can hit the message button on this one. I'll tell you how that cleaning service came about. I'd love to tell the story. So
Message.
I was driving, me and my buddy, one of my former college teammates, we were driving to play basketball in a men's league. And I remember saying to him, I said, yo, what white people do when they graduate from college? He said, what? He said, they start a business. I said, what black people do? He was like, nah. I said, we play ball together. And we sat quiet for the rest.
I don't know. Hold on, Jeff. I love you, Jeff, but the inference was wild.
It was. that was crazy. That was
Jeff, you dancing gyms, but the inference on that was crazy. That was crazy.
I was young, but we started the business a week later. The thing was, it was like, we just graduated from college together. We are probably the smartest people we know, like your group of peers. Yes. And we're going to work every day and struggling, when in reality, like, why don't we try to start something? So we started a business together, and we had some success with this, so it was good. But the idea was a lot of my white friends that I knew at graduate college, they had done that. And me and him was getting together every Tuesday night to go hoop. And so, I just, it ended up being a good thing. But so I was always doing that kind of dual hat of, working in corporate and also chasing my own thing. Graduated from law school, started my own sports agency. I went and got the certification to represent NBA players, but that is hella hard when you are a solo person, right? You're up against agents and people are like, I need to buy my mama a house. And I'm like, I need to get my mama a house. What are you So, there was some, so tried my hand at that. Commercial cleaning service went pretty well for a good number of years. And then I went to my mentor, Molly, and I had asked her that question that I told you all. And she told me, at this point, I was running all of media at the time, it was the second largest agency in Philadelphia. And I was leading all of media, reporting into the COO. And she was like, she said, if you're still thinking about New York and working in New York, go to New York and work on a bigger piece of business and the opportunities will come. So that was her tangible answer to how do I get to a C-suite position, skip the Harvard part. And so I did that. I left that role, went and worked at an agency on Anheuser-Busch, and my title there was associate media director. So I had just went from media director to associate media director, which on paper looks like one step down. But in reality, because of New York's hierarchy, you know this, Jarrett, that's like 6 steps down. And I'm like, as long as you pay me correctly, you can call me the janitor. I really don't care. Right. So I did the job for about a year and a half, 2 years, and then a VP role came up at another agency on working on Coca-Cola. The cool part in that was before I get to, I'm going to tell you how I advanced to where I am now. But one of the things that happened for both of those jobs was when I started looking in New York, I went on LinkedIn because I had interviewed at a place 3 times. I had to travel back and forth to New York 3 times. And the last person I interviewed with, he didn't have any cards on him. So I was trying to look him up on LinkedIn so I can just send like the message like, hey, thanks for meeting. And on the side, how it still pops up. It says people you might know. And so this recruiter popped up over there and I didn't know her. She was just an executive recruiter or whatever. So at another agency. And so I sent her a message and was like, hey, I don't know you, but I'm actively looking in New York. and she gave me a call. She said, all right, well, let's hop on the phone. We talked, and she's like, I actually have a role for you. I have a role I think you'd be perfect for, but it's a level step down, and I don't know. And that's where I was like, yo, I don't care, if you pay me correctly, you call me the janitor. And so I ended up taking a role that never got posted. Like the role never was posted. She put me in for the interview, took that role on the Anheuser-Busch. And then 2 years later, when I was looking and looked at the Coca-Cola role, I sent my resume into the recruiter there, and she had gone to that company. I didn't know. And he asked her, hey, have you ever heard of this guy, Jeff? And she's like, yeah, he's great. I actually brought him into the other company. And so that same LinkedIn connection paid dividends, years later.
Relationships.
And so fast forward a little bit, when I had coffee with Kasha, so you remember I mentioned Kasha, when I had coffee with Kasha, by then Kasha and I, we had talked about our kids, we had talked about all those things. So when I asked her the question, how do I get this C-suite position here, stick the hard work part, assume I'm going to do that, Kasha said there's two ways. You can work on new business, and when we win new business, you get an opportunity to run it. And she's like, you got young kids, you've been in the industry already, you already know that. That's a grind. I don't know if that's what you want to do. The other thing is you can identify a gap and work like hell to fix the gap. And so I was working like hell to fix a gap between national advertising and local advertising on Coca-Cola. At the same time, have been told at 2 agencies in New York that I was the highest ranking Black male that someone had ever met in media planning. And I was like, I'm not even at the position that my experience affords me. And so we had started a diversity council, and this is 2017. And then I recognized after doing that work for about a year as a side hustle, like we were all doing it on the side. I still worked on Coca-Cola, that the real gap was that didn't have a chief diversity officer. And so I went to the new CEO and was like, we need to go find somebody to be our CDO. But if you're going to look inside, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And so I threw my hat in the ring, and they created the role. This is like late 2017. Created the role, offered it to me. Interesting story about Molly is if you were to look on my podcast, you would see and recognize that Molly is actually a white woman who has always coached me as a Black male in a space that did not have many Black males. So when I told Molly about this, she was like, I love that for you, right? But I have no interest in you being the Black face of anybody's company, so make sure it comes with authority. And then she was like, and number two, you're going to leave a revenue generating role for one that doesn't generate revenue. And right now at your age, your sole job is to make as much money as you can before you come over the top of the bell curve.
Message!
No.
Make sure you don't get capped where you are. And so when I took that role, I wrote my own job description. And I named it, I stayed at the VP level, and I called it the head of diversity, equity, and belonging. And a lot of my friends were like, yo, why didn't you just make yourself the chief diversity officer? This is 2018. And I was like, well, if I did, I would have been a chief capped at a VP salary. And then the whole world fell apart in 2020. And by then I had 2 years of receipts of the great work that the numbers you read all 33% to 59%. That was during that 2-year period before George Floyd was murdered, right? So by then I had all the receipts I needed, and they were like, so if you were to actually look it up, it would say like elevates Jeff Marshall, the CEO, and you might think, oh, this is a 2020 response, and it's not. It's that I was in that role for 2 years and did a lot of work, and they were like, we're not gonna let anybody steal it. So that's kind of how I actually ascended to a true C-level.
That's hard to sell into. How do you sell that into a CEO? So you're saying you went to the CEO. How do you actually sell that? Because you don't know at the time. I don't know if you have the data for 33% to 59%, but how do you sell that this is going to be a revenue generating opportunity? How did
So here's the thing. I didn't have to sell that part in here because here's the thing. Yeah, well, so we were already doing work as a council, and the CEO, that new CEO, was already involved in that. And in fact, she had, before she became, Kasha had left. In fact, my coffee with Kasha, she left not long after that for another role, another CEO role somewhere else. And the new CEO was already involved, kind of. And she was an executive sponsor of our council. So she already knew, but we knew the business imperative. Like the Coca-Cola and Anheuser-Busch. These are companies that they call themselves total beverage companies. So their consumer is literally everybody. So we know, we knew, like you want nuance in what you're saying to people. You need nuance on the team. So we understood the business imperative. Like we can't, like you can't just slap, Spanish on any ad that has some Hispanic people in it and not realize that there are different dialects within that, right? And then just put it. It doesn't work that way. So we knew the value. Like we knew that company knew the value. That CEO knew the value. And really, what was happening was we were trying to do things while everybody was double hatting, right? So we were trying to do things as a council, but we all had a full-time job in a client-served business. So what do you think takes priority when one is up against the other? The client. And so that's what I went with. I was like, everything we want to do, we don't get it all done. And when we don't get it all done, we're very gracious to ourselves. We go, we'll get them next time, team. And so I took that information in and was like, we need to go hire somebody. But if you're going to look inside, what I don't want to see is you hire somebody internally. If you're going to look inside, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And by then they had already heard strategies and thoughts from me. They knew I had a passion for it. And so that's that was the sell.
Don't listen to him. You learn something.
I need better sound effects on my show, yo.
But I listen to him. Okay, my friend.
You gotta listen to him. He's smart. One of the things that we talk about, Jeff, and I'm glad that you actually brought this up. You said, hey man, I didn't get here. Step one, I did this, I did this, I did this, and you changed. One of the things that we talk about emphatically on this show is when to change, when to be at an agency or a job, whatever you want to call it, a career, and realize I've reached my limit or this is not for me, and decide to pivot. What was that like for you in each of your situations where you were like, yeah, I might be making a couple dollars, I might be good, but ultimately this is not where I want to be, or it's not going to give me the opportunity to get there, and then you go ahead and make the pivot?
I mean, a couple things happened that made me realize that. One was like, there's levels, right? And what I learned, like I remember when I first got in the career, I was like, oh, I can't wait till I make $100,000. And then I got to $100,000 and was like, what? and so you realize like, oh, there's always levels. So you advance as far as you want to advance, as far as that drives you. The other thing I realized was I love learning things. I'm just one of those people who's always curious. So for me, the pivot is just an opportunity to learn something. And when I had the cleaning service, one of the things I learned, I wrote a little post on LinkedIn about this, but I used the line from Jay-Z where he says, I guess we forgot what we came for. He's referencing Sam Rothstein, right? Yeah. And so now I'm like, when I go into a place, I don't ever want to forget what I came for, right? Like whatever job you have, make sure that you give what you need to give to the job, but get something from it. Get a new skill, get some new experience, get new contacts, new network, something. So now I go into those spaces and go, I got to get something out of this, right? If I'm going to put my mental capital into the thing, I got to make sure I'm going to get something as well. And so, so for me, and the other thing is I realized pretty quickly, like the corporate ladder is less of a ladder and more like a winding mountain road, right? It's never straight. You like sometimes it's going to take you over here. It's going to take you over there, but get what you came for. Get something that you can add on to what you already have, and you can say, oh, I learned how to do that. Method. That's kind of, how I think about it. In fact, I tell people all the time, I don't see myself right now. I don't see myself as a DEI leader. I'm a strategist. Like whatever, and I could do strategy in any place, right? Like as a CEO, I could do like whatever problem you put in front of me. What I've learned is how to think about that problem. Think about the pros and cons, and then apply a strategic approach to get through the problem. So for me, pivoting, is kind of, I think it's if you're a learner, it's necessary for growth, right? Change is necessary for growth. Method.
Yeah, I got another one.
I like it because cuz we talk about that all the time, man. Right. The battle, Jeff, the battle, right? Between wanting to do a thing and the financial responsibility of what you already have going at that level, right? oftentimes financial responsibilities can outweigh ambition, can outweigh our aspirations. And like that fear of, if I let this go and I don't get that, where do I end up then? You know what I mean? So it's very important for our listeners to hear stories like yours that say, listen, man, like our motto, Jeff, on a lot of our merch, and one of our mottos is bet on yourself.
For sure.
It's on our t-shirts, it's on our sweaters. Like, you gotta bet on yourself. It has to be a certain point of time where you're like, I'm putting the faith in the things that I've learned and my experiences and where I am now, and this is my value. If you never draw that line to understand where your value is, your progression is going to be cut extremely short.
Absolutely. Yeah. You also said something crazy that takes a lot of not having ego, going from the road, the title, the more than a title. I know exactly what you felt, bro. I went from a VP to an AE.
Yeah.
So imagine that. I went from a VP to an AE. I helped open up the can office in the Central with Kirk McDonald right next door. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. Braids down my back, like straight up, straight from the block. Did the shit successfully, was the top performer. They celebrated me in London. I'm going all over the place. Like, and then I become a VP because I want a lion. I want one of these shits. I'm not creative enough. I could do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and got the $1 million deal and then got shitted on my commission. Had to quit on the spot. I'm like, I'm young, boom, boom, boom. I had to go to that. Damn. Shit. That's the real shit. And then go to an AE and knowing you got to make the same money. Like you said, I'm a VP, but still know the title, but knowing that the title also helps the trajectory.
Yeah.
So it changes the game. I'm still making the same money, but I'm back in the game. What if my trajectory was this? For 30, I'm supposed to be SVP of sales.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. The game is a lot, bro. But the authenticity, I became more successful when I said, fuck it. I'm tired. And I just said, I'm tired of it. I'm going to be me. I'm going to walk into the space, be myself. I know what I know. I got these skill set from being all the other places. Guess what? You've been in one place for 10 years. I've been in 5 different places in 7 years. You know how much I know?
You know how much you know how many people I know? You know how many people it changes. You're gonna get something there. Like Denzel said, I'm leaving here with something. That's how you gotta approach it. That's how you gotta approach it.
That's the real.
Yeah. No, that's very real, bro. And speaking of just people, and the types of, being a leader, I want to know, like, what is your approach to leadership, especially like in a world where like corporate and creative kind of clash?
My approach to leadership is that I'm not selfish, right? So one of the first things I've said to the teams that I've led at the last 2 or 3 places that I've been was, if it's your ambition to be in this role that I'm in, then that's what I'm training you for, right? So I might be telling you, I'm going to talk to you about things that none of the other bosses probably talk to you about, right? Like, we're going to talk about, how I had to put together this budget. Right. That's not, I'm gonna try to, so from an inclusion standpoint, like I talk to my team members, like my intent is for them to be somebody's CDO at some point in their future. Right. Like, so that's how I approach it. It doesn't matter if they are an AE on the team or a VP on the team. I'm like, if this is the work you want to do, let's start with the big, like, you still got to do all these small things. But let me at least let you get a peek behind the curtain, right? Like, so that's kind of been my approach. What I found, and I'm very I'm just an empathetic person as it anyway. I'm very approachable with a lot of things, right? Like, so for me personally, I look at quality of time versus quantity of time, right? I don't need you to be glued to a computer for 24 hours, right? Like, if you can get it done. In fact, with our cleaning service, let me tell you this interesting story. This will kind of speak to my leadership. When we started the cleaning service, the first building that we had, me and my buddies, we learned how to clean the entire building by ourselves, me and the co-owners. Like, we spent the weekend, figured out how to clean the building and do it most efficiently. And what we realized was like, okay, we can clean this building efficiently in probably 2 hours. Right. But what we did was we gave the folks we hired to do it, we gave them 4 hours to clean the building. Like, you have 4 hours to clean the building. If you clean it in 2, we still pay you for 4. If you clean it in 6, we pay you for 4, because we know how much it's going to take. But it incentivized them to get it done, especially like on Friday nights. They're like, oh, man, we're going to knock the building out. We'll shower and go out. Right. And so for me, it was like, yo, as long as you spending the quality of time is important, we'll pay you for what we're supposed to owe you. Just, make sure you use your time wisely. And so I kind of carry that into even nowadays. It's like, if somebody's like, hey, man, like, I got to go to my son's game. It's like, all right, go to your son's game. I mean, like, you should be at your son's game, like, and I think people appreciate that. Like, they appreciate that.
I got another question because I want to stay on the vein of like, you just seem very personal, like, and you really, like you said, you're empathetic. I want to know, like, what project like personally transformed you in the CEO role?
What project personally transformed me?
That's a woo too. That's a Ric Flair.
All right, so there is one project.
See, there you go, bro. I did.
Ric Flair. That was a good
I need to add that to the board. So there was so there's one project I'm working on now that I've been working on for the last X number of years that I can't say in public. Like, when we next time when I have y'all on my show individually, I'm gonna have y'all on there individually. I'll tell you, but I would say, man, what one transformed me? Man, there's a lot of meaningful projects. I guess I would say, we started this program. I feel like this is a cop out, but we started this program called Breaking Media, which was really about giving young people access and exposure to the media industry. And so we started this program back in like 2020. And basically what we did was create a free like 8-week or 8 or 9 course program where you could learn about the different pieces of media. We partnered up with Vox to do it. So you not only learned about the agency, but you also learned about it from the sales side. And we put probably 1,000 kids through that program. So if I had to talk about like that one, probably told me that I could have an impact in this space if I really put my mind to it. But the next one, the other one that I got, like, that I'm just waiting to, get off the shot, like that's my, like, that's where I'm gonna put my flag in the ground and be like, I did something for this industry, and I can walk away knowing that I was impactful. So that there is one. There's more to come on this.
Well, I got one for you too, man. What advice would you give to young folks that look like us that are in the agency space with AI? How do you envision the agency space transforming with all this? Like, I'm just curious, bro.
So the first thing I would say is learn AI beyond ChatGPT. The other thing I'm gonna say is, personally, look, artificial intelligence is killing the environment. Like, it is killing the environment. Like, but because companies are forcing it down our throats, learn it. Do not get left behind. Like, just learn how to use it as a tool. Right, create efficiencies in what you're doing. Right, if you're writing out emails and things like that, like, don't have it write it and then send it. Like, try do your thing, put it in there, let it help edit. But learn how it works, why it does what it does. I said this the other day on the stage. You might be the person who learns how to create the AI that doesn't kill the environment. Right, like, so learn it. That's what I would say to them. In the industry space, I have a tough time with it with regards to some things. Like, you can see like my art stuff behind me. Like, art is created by people and life experience, right? So the best AI can do with regards to any type of art form is maybe mimic something that someone has put in the system. And so, if it takes jobs from people who are in the creative space, I think that those creatives will find other ways to express that creativity, right? Like, and then there are people there are people who truly appreciate like the creative process. And so, instead of just fearing that it's going to take your job and sitting back in panic mode, like, learn it, like, learn how to use it, But then, like, if you are a creative, like, never stop expressing like your true creative self. The other thing I'll say, like, for Black folks in particular, and I know this show is wider than just Black folks, but like the thing I say to Black folks is, or anybody, like any people of color, but when you use it and it does something wrong, you need to put inputs in it that teaches it what it did wrong, or else it's just going to continue to be biased, right? So, Nadege, I'm going to use your hair as an example, right? Everybody was making the little cute little Muppet Family Jones, and I did one or whatever, and I did one, and it made my wife has micro, like she has locks, sister locks, I think they're called, like she has locks, and it just decided like, yeah, I don't know how to make the hairstyle. Let me go ahead and change this hairstyle, and I was like, I had to respond back and be like, no, hair is very important in the African American community, especially amongst women, right? Like, and I had to put all this input in so that the next time somebody goes and puts something in, it can reference that. And so I tell people, if you don't want the bias in it, you got to actually teach it how to remove the bias. Like when it does something that's, wrong, you gotta actually know how to input. So, I mean, I guess that's what I would say, but hopefully that answers your question, man.
No, fine. Shout out to Steve Jones, shout out to Pockstock, shout out to Morgan. A lot of people that's doing that, that's fighting the bias in AI.
Yes, sir. Shout out.
It's super important, y'all. AEO is the thing, right? Like Jeff said, what goes into the system, what goes into the LLMs, right? At the end of the day, right? You going into a website, you going to Google right now, you put something, you're not going to a website, you're going to the AI. Who validates the AI? Who is checking that information? Are you? We need to be checking it for ourselves, the community, the culture. Make sure we need to learn this shit or we're going to fall behind. Straight up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, my next question. Because now it's perfect, working perfectly. I love when we're in a good flow. I want to know, like,
we're in a good flow.
What is something that like people often?
You took it too far. You took it in the flow.
She in the flow. I interrupted you.
Okay. What is something people misunderstand about you or the industry today?
Ooh, me or the industry.
Or you could do a little and or.
I like it.
Something people misunderstand about. I'll try to start with the industry first. Because me, I'm a little bit of an open book. But I think one thing that people misunderstand about the industry is those who are perfect example. Those who are outside of the industry, they actually think of advertising, marketing, PR as solely creative, right? So they don't see a space for them, right? But the truth of the matter is, if you are, if you're an accounting person, right? The industry has accountants. Right. So wear your Jordans and your jeans and come do some accounting in a creative space. If you are a lawyer, right, they need lawyers. Right. So, also, by the way, if you just love math, well, data and analytics is the spot to be. Right. So I don't think so. One of the things we don't do well as an industry, we put a lot of focus on the creative only. Meanwhile, there's this entire ecosystem within the industry that most people, especially the people that are missing from the industry, don't know exists. They don't know what media, they don't know what paid media is. They don't know about media sales, right? They don't know that, you can have a phenomenal career and have a lot of fun while you're doing it. There's so many other things other than just the person that makes the ad. And in fact, making the ad, like creating the ad is only part of the story, right? You can make a phenomenal looking piece of creative, and if it's in the wrong place, it does no good. And so you got to understand there are people that need to understand how people think, right? Where these things should go, what time they need to show up there, what are the tensions of consumers. There's all these other pieces of the business that a lot of people don't understand. And I'm not gonna put it on them. I'm gonna put it on the industry. It's because we don't put that stuff in front of them. We don't give them access or exposure to that information. And that was kind of part of why I had built out the Breaking Media program that I mentioned before. Something people don't understand about me. That's an interesting one.
Right.
Yeah. What you say?
I like it. It's different.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's an interesting question. I don't really know. I don't know. I might have to ask some friends that question. Like, what's something you don't understand about me? But I'm kind of an open book. People ask me questions, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I'm thinking. all right, this is what I'm doing, and here's why I'm doing it. I try to, I try to learn and share stuff like when I learn it.
Well, shit.
So-
What was the most difficult thing you overcame as a black leader?
Most difficult thing I've overcome.
Your career. What's the one thing that made you feel like, I can't do I don't want to play the what's the thing you overcame that was very difficult for you, bro? Internally, mentally, spiritually, all that shit.
Well, I don't know if it was the corporate thing, if I'm being honest. Look, let me take this step a little bit. While
That's the man.
about that.
The man.
My podcast is called The Crucible with Jeff Marshall. I talk to highly successful people about their greatest failure.
About it.
Episode number 1 is what I deem my greatest failure. What I found is that, a lot of times when we talk to successful people, we talk to them all about the successes, and really where the growth is in the stumble. And so to your question, my stumble actually happened like while I was in law school. And I'll leave it at that until you go look at episode 1. It's only 13 minutes.
Oh, he's a Potter. On the show. No.
Yeah. So that's why I also said
you see the plug. The plug was great. It was.
I love the plug.
Look, you always be marketing, right? Y'all know always be marketing. But I
Always.
also that's why I was like, look, y'all get 1 episode from me, and I get 3 from y'all because that's 3 different stories I want to know, right? Like that's 3 different stories people have to hear. So, but yeah, that's
Okay.
I think I would say that's the biggest thing I've overcome. Everything else after that has paled by comparison. Once I got through that whole situation, I was like, I can get through anything.
Okay. Before we go further, we got a lot of Instagram comments, so we want to make sure we get our Instagram comments on. Brother Graham said Brother Graham is on. He said the question becomes, which bias are you more comfortable with, right? The human to human bias or the human through technology bias, because convenience always comes at a cost, right? Always has and always will. Brother Graham, that was a phenomenal question. What do you guys say about that, Jeff? Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if that was a question. That sounded like a statement.
I mean, it was there.
He's asking me which one.
It was like both, a question and a statement. Yeah.
I like a hard rule, so I'll say human to human bias is the one I would do. He said, do I prefer or do I prefer to like push against?
Which one are you more comfortable with? Which one are you more comfortable with? Yeah.
That's even crazier.
Yeah, comfortability is crazy.
Because I'm not, that's wild. That's a wild question. Because I'm not comfortable with either, but I think it's easier to change the bias in tech if we get enough of us understanding like how the bias happens. It's harder to change human to human bias, but I think right now in a time where we're more separated than ever, right? And we as we are more community based type of people. Like I would personally rather attack human to human bias. That's just that's my preference, but I think attacking human to the bias in technology is probably the easier of the two because it just takes more inputs from more people.
That's it.
But does it make it easier because it takes more input from more people? That means you have to get more people on the same page to do the same thing. Is that not harder?
No, I mean I think it's an easier look. These are these are impossible to solve things, right? Like, but I think it's an easier thing to try to solve.
Right.
Like if enough people are putting the input in around Black women's hair and the importance of it, eventually the computer will say, oh, now we know this about Black women. Right. The only way to counter that is if you have more people putting in the opposite and saying, no, Black women don't love their hair. Like that's not how it goes. Yeah. So I think that was the easier one to attack.
Gotcha. I got a sidebar question for you. Your podcast is called The Crucible. Did you know that The Crucible is the final event in boot camp for Marines to actually adorn the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor and actually call themselves a Marine? Did you know that?
I don't think I knew that. And my dad's passed by now, but he probably I told you that, boy, but I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. So the final test, Marine Corps boot camp, 12, 13 weeks. If you don't get hurt or get left back. And the final test, only 2 boot camps in the United States, East Coast and West Coast. On the East Coast and West Coast, they're called the same things, but they're different. They differentiate because of the terrain. So I'm a West Coast Marine. The Crucible, we had to march 10 miles and climb a mountain. It's a mountain in California, in And only when you get to the top of the mountain can you put the Eagle Globe and anchor on and call yourself a Marine, because you pass. It's actually a 3-day event. Sleep deprivation, food deprivation, teamwork building, you're cold, sleeping outside. It pushes your senses to the limit. Both boot camps do the same thing. The only difference is the MCRD in Paris Island, they don't have the mountain. So it's just straight marching, straight humping. I think it's 10, 15 miles now. It might have changed. It might have went up. But in San,
I'm a motherfucking soldier, you know?
You understand what I'm saying? I'm not a soldier. I keep telling you that. Stop that. Look, and my answer to you that
Hell no. No.
hell no, now I'm a motherfucking Marine. Put some respect on my name. I ain't gonna say it. Like Birdman said, I ain't gonna say it no more. I ain't gonna say it no more. So I just wanted to know if you made that correlation, Jeff, but now you know that because your family's service connected and you have a lineage of service members. So the Crucible does represent something in the military. So it's dope that you named your podcast that, and you have family that was in the military and went to a military school. Look at the correlation on that. You know what I mean?
Dope.
Yeah. Fire, right?
See, and I was just thinking because it's literally like an actual crucible, right?
Well, that's why it's a test, right? It's a severe test that you have to pass. Like, so that's that you have.
But of all the names, Jeff, think about it. Of all the names that there's a bunch of names for tests, right? There's a bunch of obstacle course. Of all the names you could have named, look how you picked the one that ties in almost to exactly what you were doing. I think that's like, what's the odds in that?
Yeah. Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I do.
That's a little fun fact. That's a little fun fact.
What do you want me to say?
That's something to add to the resume now.
There we go.
I love this, yo. Sis, you gonna take us home? Man, we gonna take us home?
All right, yeah, happy to. Okay, Jeff, this is the segment we call it From the Saucer. Why? Is because I believe that you should never pour from your cup. You should fill it up, let it runneth over. And the excess that pours into your saucer is what you pour into others. So if you would grace us in this moment with just some wisdom that you would like to share and to pour into our audience's cup.
Oh man.
Hold on. Before you answer that sounds about 7 period, 8 period. Let's go ahead and get you prepped for that. There we go. There we go. 8th period. Let's go.
So I think the thing that I would pour into folks is I think I'm gonna take it right back to failing, right? Like, again, Jay-Z got a line for everything, right? I'm not afraid of dying, I'm afraid of not trying. And so I would say to folks, man, like whatever it is, that you think you can do, the only thing standing between it and it's between that thought and it happening is literally you.
Message.
You got to try those things. And then I think I tell people this all the time. The interesting thing about humans and the human condition is you can never see yourself the way the world sees you. And I was just talking to my oldest daughter about this last night. Sometimes you don't know the thing, like you don't know or you don't believe the thing that you're good at. And people will tell you, like they'll be put in your path to tell you those things. And sometimes you don't believe it. And so you have to, understand that if everyone is telling you this from different spaces, then that's something you probably should consider. Trying that thing is it never actually ends up in failure, right? There's no losses, just lessons, right? So you don't fail, you just learn something different. And so what's the hurt in trying versus not trying? So I guess that's what I would pour from my saucer to those, and you know what? Ask the questions, right? Like ask the things you don't know, right? Like don't be afraid to ask the questions. That's how you learn a thing.
I like it. I like it. Jeff, before we even think about getting out of here, please let the audience know the best ways to get in contact with you, get information from you, and support what you are doing for the community.
Oh, I appreciate it. I got 45 Instagram pages.
Hate it.
45 is wild.
No, it seems like that sometimes. You'll see, like I tagged like 2 of them on here. So because I got the private one, that's like my family stuff. But then I've got Who is Jeff Marshall, so you can connect with me there. That one's and then Crucible Moments, which is I run that for the podcast. You can hit me on LinkedIn, but send a note. Like send a note and tell me why it is you're asking me for access to my my network. But other than that, man, they can, I think the easiest way for a lot of people is just to hit people on social. I think those are the ways I would do it. You can follow the Crucible streams on YouTube and anywhere else where you listen to podcasts. So you can probably hit me up with a message on any of them. I'm the person monitoring all of that. It's not like a team doing it. It's me. Any other way? How do other guests leave? What other information do guests leave? Is that?
No, that's the I hate we do that as a coach, and I hate that on LinkedIn with us. Black people, when we got to add an email to connect with your ass, I hate that shit. Like I connect with Black people just because I ain't gonna hold you. But at the end of the day, you can't have access to me like my community. You still got to put in the work.
Yeah.
If you're gonna email or Instagram or DM somebody that I know that's connected to me, you can't take our spot. But I feel like for us, though, is a lot of like C-level, C-suite Black individuals that are not connected with too many. Like I see, like you're joining like 3,000. Like I'm connected with 20,000. Mm-hmm. Like how do we connect each other? Like I think we have to. Like I want you just think about that from my perspective, bro.
I just so my thing is you just have to send me a message. It's for right. Now they're gonna get another gem. It's for multiple reasons. It's not really for me, right? Because a lot of young people will try to connect. But like I said, 5 years from now. You know this from sales. When you're talking to a salesperson and on the phone, they're taking notes on all the little things. You're saying, oh, yeah, my daughter's 12, blah, 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 blah. Next time they talk to you a year from now, hey, how's your daughter? And you go, damn, how do they remember I had a daughter? Right? Like, well, they would take notes, right? So when 5 years from now, if you meet me at a conference and you're a junior in college right now, right? And then you meet me at a conference, and then 5 years from now, you go to reach out to me, you need to know where you met me at. So you can bring that back up in your conversation.
That's a fact.
Right? For me, the work is you sent the note knowing that this is my greatest asset. The thing for me is I'm a connector, right? So my network is important to me. I can't just have a million people sitting in there who I don't know because now I can't reach out and ask somebody for a favor for you because I don't even know the person because I just open connected to them. So to me, like, and I built my LinkedIn platform intentionally, right? Like sometimes I post something on there and it goes crazy. You get 300,000-400,000. Like so, and then in my role in particular, I just say this real quick. I don't want to go too long. In my role in particular, there are a lot of like my name's on like some lists because I do like the DEI work, and so now you get a lot of fake accounts who are trying to connect with you, right? So it looks real, but it's fake, and so I definitely can't just allow them into my space and end up on So I'm very
that's super
selective. Yeah, even with my Instagram, that's why my personal Instagram is private, right? Because I don't need everybody seeing pictures of my kids for what. But my wife was like, yo, you need a public Instagram because you're doing all these conferences and they're asking for your thing and you just never give any social media. So that's, that's just kind of,
When the fuck you added that? He added a studio audience. Yeah.
I'm flawless with this shit. Don't play with me. I'm quick on the trigger.
I'm surgical with it.
What's going on here? We bought for 1 week. He added new sound going on.
He said, "Don't go away again." He gonna have a whole different soundboard.
Listen, we got. Listen, this shit is transformative when you come on this show, Jeff. Sis, you want to do the honors?
Oh, okay. Well, Jeff, we love to welcome you to the More Than a Title family.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, all right. I like that.
That includes some amazing things. First of all, you are now part of a group where if at any point in time, right, you see somebody from before the show, future episodes, if you want to connect with them, we got you, right? We'll set up a Zoom call, A to B, B to A. Pleasure bringing y'all together. We hop off the Zoom call. Whatever business y'all got to handle, y'all handle it. There have been dozens of deals and dozens of ideas that have come out of those conversations. So please take us up on that offer. If you see anybody on the show that you just want to connect with, let us know. And then also, right, we already said we're coming on your podcast, but if you have any other events, any opportunities that you would love us to come support, we're there for you, right? Because we family, we come out, we support you. So let us know when and where, and we'll be there.
That definitely will. I will. You know what? Y'all will be dope at. My wife does. We're doing these things called Sunday suppers, which are like basically like it's a supper club. It's through her business, but we like to put interesting people at the table with other interesting people. So y'all mind for one of those, and it's good food.
Fire.
I like it. I like that, man. I like that. And Jeff, I want you to understand, like, when we extend this invitation, we are dead serious and we want you to hold us accountable, right? What we're saying to you very blatantly is we are now a part of your village and you are now a part of our village. This is not a transactional interaction. If it was, we don't want no parts of it. Be clear. Anybody that want to do transactional work with more than a title, we're impact over the metrics. We're not looking for that. We're looking to build. So please, right? We are now part of your village. Even if you're not in the same industry, if you see somebody that you just want to connect with, again, like Nadege said, we will start a group chat at the end of this show. Just us, right? That way we don't do managers, assistants, because a lot of times you do too many people and information, it gets tangled up, right? You know what I mean? So we'll do a group chat. You hit us up. Hey, I would love to connect with so-and-so. They already know it. They're vetted. You're vetted. Like Nadege said, we set up the call. Done, right? So please hold us accountable to that, because that is how we show that we're not gatekeeping, right? And we're trying to progress this movement for our people in general, right? Is we're connecting people, like-minded individuals with like-minded visions that want to progress the culture together. And maybe you might have never met a person, right, in this industry because it's not your industry. And now you can get together and possibly do something for the culture. So please hold us responsible for that. And listen, if you want to do an event, we down for that. But if you want to just get a beer, if you want to get a steak, like Cuz always tells the story, man, you know, we link up with people all the time just to get a beer. If you're ever in New York City and you like, hey, man, let's go get some fucking cheesecake. Let's go down to Cat's Deli and get a roast beef. Whatever you want to do, we do that too, right? Right. Because it's not about breaking bread. You know what I mean? Cuzzo, you got anything else?
This was real, man. He seen it in real time. I know we gave some. You saw it in real time.
Yeah.
We wouldn't break bread if it wasn't that. Because Steve is.
Yeah, no doubt. I was gonna say, I was like, Chadeo, you were saying that for the audience members that didn't know, because I already knew.
Didn't know. Right, that didn't know. Right.
Yeah.
Of course,
yeah. So
you know what I mean?
Yep.
So listen, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I started off the show with using the word phenomenal. And the guest even used the word phenomenal a bunch of times. You understand what I'm saying? He dropped the gems on you, right? So what we're going to do as a community, first of all, one of the biggest gems that he dropped, that let's do research on this. Let's try to see if we can get back these military schools for our veterans. A lot of you listeners out there are either veterans or have family members that are serving in the military, and why not get some benefits from that? If we can get some type of education or some type of resources from that, let's start putting that plan together to get that, right? So this man told you that even though he went to a privileged school, he didn't take it for granted. What he did was he took those lessons that he learned in those schools and applied them as his foundation. And he used that to approach each and every job and opportunity with that same mindset, right? The discipline, the studying, the showing up on time, everything that he learned, he carried forward and he kept building on that. But he also told you that he wasn't afraid to switch jobs, switch titles, and take what were considered to be a lower scale, right? Because he understood where he wanted to be. We talked about that, right? Understanding where you're starting is only the first step. You have to have a goal, a plan of where you end, or if you don't plan to win, you plan to fail. You understand what I'm saying? Yes, this man was a worker, but he also understood that he wanted to be an entrepreneur and took on that responsibility and started to do that. He's giving back to the community. He told you his story. He came on and he was vulnerable, which reiterates everything that we say to end off the show every single time. The dream is free. But the hustle, well, shit, that's so separately. You know what it is? It's your favorite motherfucking podcast. Thursday. We're going to see y'all next week. Who but us? More than a title. Peace.
What you know about me? Seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me?